Welcome to Make Break. Today I have with me Aaron Farrell. Pretty sure I said that right.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yep, not too bad. It's not Farrell, not Farrell. You don't make like beats or anything like that. It's just Farrell.
Yeah, I do love a little bit of fronting and I love a little of NERD, but I am not that man.
Uh, Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
actually, yeah, and honestly, when I say thank, I really mean it. Like I am pumped to have you here because you and I have been speaking. We only just met like what, two,
2 months?
3 months ago,
Yeah.
literally. But then, you know, we've connected on the craft.
hmm
We've connect of writing.
Yeah.
So you are a writer, first, foremost, and last. You're many
Yeah.
other things, as are most writers, but that is definitely your calling, your vocation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I spend the time thinking about the most, I would say, in terms of my output.
Mm. And so, uh, for listeners and viewers that are just joining us for the first time, on Make Break, we talk about the creative process and we talk about what the different pluses and minuses, the problems and benefits, the things that make us and break us as creators. Um, I usually start off heavy, but lately I've been finding that that's great, but people want to know a little bit more about who they're listening to. So I wanted to take the time to actually talk about you a little bit more. So for our astute listeners, they will note that you have a very specific accent. Can you tell us where it comes from?
Yeah, so I am Welsh from Wales, and my accent is actually pretty docile, I would say, in terms of Welsh accents, because I've spent a lot of time outside of Wales. I come from Swansea in South Wales. Wales is a very small part of the UK. We're only like 3 million population. We often get confused with the just as a part of England, but we are absolutely not a fucking part of England. We are our own country, and we are our own proud peoples. We have been underfoot a lot by the English, and so we are pretty rebellious in spirit and quite strong in identity, I would say. So I've taught a lot of people on my travels what the fuck Wales is, by just being there, because not, I would say not a lot of Welsh people leave Wales in some sense, but yeah, I am a wandering Welshman.
That's true, actually. I find that the real wanderers are like, English folks, Australians, holy shit, are they some bloody wanderlust
Yeah,
folk.
yeah.
I don't I don't really ever see Welsh people outside of Wales, funny enough.
Yeah, I mean, well, Dylan Thomas, who is my countryman and cityman, because he was from Swansea too. He was pretty big in America, in New York. He was traveling over there, and I think that was in like the 30s, before he died at 39, because he loved the drink and the booze and that kind of lifestyle. You know how it goes. But yeah, he had a lot of radio interviews and whatnot as a poet of character, merit, and I would say identity, in himself and of Wales. So I am a second coming of Dylan Thomas in some ways, in that I am the Welsh poet who's trying to go out of Wales, and or has been out of Wales, to share the words, share the wistfulness, and share the woes of being Welsh, and where every race, peoples, and cultures right now kind of get their dues of maybe not recompense, but people are being identifying. We're having Black History Month, we're having Native and Indigenous People Days. Everything's getting their dues, which is awesome. But I feel, I swear to God, as a 3 million population strong Welshman, no one still knows where, what we are, and we do have our own language, but because
That's
of
right. You do have like Welsh is its
Welsh,
own.
which
It's
which
not
was
Celtic. It's not. Yeah, it's not Gaelic. It's not It's Welsh.
it's Welsh. You are right,
And
boy.
do you speak Welsh at all?
Nah, man. So that's the problem. There's
Right.
some nasty history in Wales from the English, and there was this whole thing called the Blue Books, and basically, after England put in their own monarchy into our situation, so pretty much the princes and princesses of Wales over the last few centuries have been English, and they came in, and the Blue Books was a whole thing about basically us Welsh people not being able to speak Welsh, especially in schools, in churches, and there was a
Mm.
yeah, there was a big kind of, I would say, colonization. I've actually written a poem called Brave New Welsh, which is a pretty lengthy poem, 2,000 words, kind of about a lot of these issues of kind of being born down and you're having your identity almost pulled out of you, because South Wales is very industrious with our cities. So where I'm from, we speak
Right.
English as a first tongue. When I was younger, I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, and Welsh was dying in the South. Few people spoke it, and there has been a resurgence from government funding and councillors and whatnot. So now there are in Swansea. When I was a child, there was no Welsh schools. I think currently there are like 10 Welsh schools in Swansea now. So we are really coming back up in terms of our identity. But there's a few lost generations who I identify as a Welshman, but I don't speak Welsh. I know the bare basics. I know the inflections, because the alphabet of Wales is crazy. It's all vowels, dude. It's all vowels. So you coming in looking at our road signs, it's hard.
I
Um,
have been. I have been. I went. Oh my God, I forget. Of course, I forget the bloody name of it. But it's this small village in Wales. Go figure.
in north
But it
or
was.
south.
I believe it was.
Small village would probably be the north.
I was going to say it's the northeast is what I was going to mention. It's a
Okay.
town that's. I think it's. No, it's not Ely. That's bloody England. What am I fucking doing? It's a small town that. It's a village that Books. The town of Books. In
Damn,
Wales.
I should know that. Carnarvon?
Hay on Wye.
Hay
Hay
on Wye.
on
Okay.
Wye.
Oh, the Hay
Hay
on
on,
Wye.
it's a town.
Yeah.
It's a town in Wales, or simply Hay, is a
Okay.
market town and community in Powys, Wales.
Powys. Yeah, that's a district, I would say.
Ah, I see. Right. Okay.
Mm.
Right. So yeah, it's yeah, it's got over 20 bookshops
Damn.
in it.
Okay. And I've
It's
never
really
been
great. Yeah.
to that.
Oh,
Because,
mate, this is what I'm seeing is people tell me like, "Oh, you're from Canada? You've been to Banff?" I'm like,
right.
"No, I have never been to Banff in my fucking life."
Yeah,
I know
right.
it's really pretty. I know, I get it. It's also like,
I used
uh,
to I used to write film reviews for a band film festival, actually, when I visited North Wales. I used to write and report on it, basically, of the Bands Film Festival, and that's what opened me up to, like, holy shit, dude, Canada fucking rules.
it's such a big country and it's so sparsely populated outside of like if you go
Yeah, the hub.
above, yeah, if you go north of like a few hundred kilometers north of the border with America, it just the population drops off completely. But
Sounds glorious,
with
dude.
so with Wales though, I know that you said you wandered. So tell
Yeah.
me more about like where you were born and raised in Swansea, yeah?
Yeah, born and raised in Swansea, as an English-speaking Welshman, very industrious, uber working class. Swansea's kind of known as a little bit rough, you could say. Beautiful. It's called the Pretty Shitty City. That's from a movie called Twin Town, but also Dylan Thomas very much had this duality. I would say South Walians have a duality of identity because we speak English and we are informed by English media, and we had to kind of carve our own identity away from the basically the colonization, I would say, and the continued effort of being England and Wales. London Parliament basically ruling us, funding us. We get our GDP. We give away much of our resources, including water, we have great water just because we have like 250 days of rain. So,
Fair
uh,
enough. Yeah.
so yeah, Wales, South Wales, was economically it was a titan prior to World War II because it was the biggest shipping of or biggest docks of steel, outward steel. So for World War II weaponry, pretty busy. Um, and then we had a 3-night blitz, and the Germans absolutely decimated Swansea City and some other areas of South Wales. And then it was a rebuilding effort. But I'm from Town Hill, and anyone in Swansea, if anyone is listening to this from Swansea, they'll be like, "Oh, he's a Town Hill boy," because Town Hill is pretty rough. It's a big housing estate up on the top of a hill in Swansea. It was the joyriding capital of Europe when I was in the 90s, when I was a child. So there was a lot of stolen cars, a lot of burnt out
Oh,
cars,
that kind of joyriding.
that kind of
Okay.
joyriding. Yeah, this isn't pleasant Sunday afternoon in
Right.
a
Okay.
van. This was revved engines and way too much misconstrued testosterone. So crime was always pretty big. Fighting was always pretty big. So I started kung fu at 5 as a means of self-defense, and I felt very apart and aside from family, from friends, from identity within Swansea, which is big football, big fighting, but I never quite felt like I fitted in initially and felt like the kind of weird outsider who dreamed of different places. So at 21, I did Camp America, the kind of summer program where foreigners from all around the world, you apply, you interview, and then they chuck you in in a summer camp in America for 3 months, and you have this kind of experience. That was incredible. That flipped many switches and circuit boards in my mind for what I want.
Wait, let's unpack that a bit because
Okay.
how old were you again?
I was 21 when I went to Camp. I just turned 21 when I went to Camp America.
So was that the first time you left the country?
Oh no, no. I'd been like, on traditional holidays to kind of like Spain as
Okay, so you
a boy. I'd Yeah, it was the first big trip, first long haul flight, and I've been, as we all have, especially in the 90s, raised on American media, superheroes, comics. Like, I am a profound geek who is actually sick of the geek culture right now because I don't feel like these motherfuckers did their time. I did my time. I did my
yeah, I
time when you were getting shat on for doing that. If it
yeah,
wasn't football and it was Professor Xavier, then
yeah,
people were
dude.
mad at that life.
People are walking around out here like talking about magic cards and Warhammer openly in the
Yeah.
streets. How dare you? You used to have you used to get shit on
Yes.
hardcore for that shit, okay?
Big time.
I can walk around now with a Magic the Gathering hoodie, which my sister bought for me. Thank you, Kieran, if you're listening. And I literally can wear that shit around and not
Yeah.
like I no stink eye.
But
No, but I and like comics, forget it. For before Iron Man, before
yeah.
all of that, it was still seen as like so I mean, even Spider-Man sort of popularized things. Batman with
Tim
Tim
Burton.
Burton was very, very much in a like they were okay, they were good, but it's not like it's suddenly open season like it was
That,
following Marvel Disney.
yeah.
So
Which sounds kind of gross to me, Marvel Disney still. I
yeah, same.
still
It's
can't really
basically
digest
like
that.
yeah, and for good reason because now it's like it's just like a money
Oversaturation.
machine. Yeah, it's money machine go burr. That's
Yeah.
all it is. But this is it. It's like it used to be. I don't know. It was really cool for a while when they were like building things, and then
Mm.
after now following Infinity War
Yeah.
Endgame type
Yeah.
era, it's like okay, now we're gonna have like all these different series happening at the same time on Disney Plus. And I'm like,
Like,
no,
nah,
I'm not
dude.
gonna. I'm not watching any of that.
I swear to God,
I
like
don't.
some of my like storylines with my like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Hulk figurines as a kid was better than some of the shit Disney's putting out. You know? It was like
Certainly more coherent, I'm sure.
definitely more coherent, dude, and so better
Fucking
fucking
hell.
dialogue.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, like some films are like killer for like they got great banter.
Yeah,
I always
class,
felt
class.
like good banter. It was like
Yeah.
the number one like requirement because it's the thing that chews
Mm,
up all the scenery in terms of the exposition. But I want to
yes.
get back to you in
Okay.
America for a second. You went to
Okay.
which part of America? There's 50 states. Which one did you go
There's a
to?
few. So you apply to Camp America, the organization, and then with your skills or whatever you have to offer, they place you. They put you in some sorting machine of sorts, and they place you. So because my kind of first career before I started writing, I was like a youth support worker. So I was working basically the youth service was big to me as a kid and took me off the streets and let me play like Tony Hawk's Pro Skate on a PlayStation, which I didn't have, like this kind of stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
so I went into youth service. I became a youth support worker, teaching assistant, an English teaching assistant, working with basically disadvantaged children specifically because Townhill, Swansea. I worked in the same school I went to. So I left at 16. I left Dylan Thomas Community School at 16, went back at 18 as a teaching assistant. I worked in Townhill Youth Centre where I was as a kid. Uh, kind of worked my way up, became like a youth support worker working with families and children who were having issues, and the child wasn't attending school or college, so I would go to their homes and do this kind of work. So that
Outreach? You'd go to their
yeah,
homes.
yeah, that was me
Whoa.
at 2020. Yeah, I think I was Swansea's youngest youth worker, possibly the youngest youth worker professional in Wales. When I have a bone, I go at it, son. Like, and I was very, very, very passionate about youth work and putting back into something I put into me, basically.
Yeah.
So that was my experience, and so they fitted me with a fitting camp, basically. So I was put in New Jersey to Camp Vacamus was the umbrella camp, and then they had a camp underneath it called Camp Top of the Pines in Bear Mountain in New Jersey. So that's where I went, working predominantly with children aged 9 to 16 from the Bronx, Harlem, Brooklyn, Queens. So, I mean, this was like 90% of the children there were Black, deprived, and this was paid for by their school as like a summer system to go, because the array of camps Camp America offer, you have camps for everything: science, maths, Jewish camp, Christian camp, it all goes. And
Right.
depending where they are on the funding, obviously, if you have rich families funding, they have shit like water
Whatever they
park
want.
stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah,
Camp
of
Top of the
course.
Pines, not so well funded, more of a charitable organization. So I went as a sports coordinator because I got my black belt in Kung Fu at 13. So that was a big,
What?
big achievement.
Sorry, wow. So wait, you got your a black belt in Kung Fu at 13.
Yeah, and I had my third Dan by the time I was 20, but having a black belt meant I could teach. So I was teaching Kung Fu from 13 onwards, and then got a personal training qualification so I could, teach in leisure centers, like gym instruction.
Wow.
So I was kind of like the PE teacher, let's say, of Camp Top of the Pines, but we had like little, very little equipment, and we had
Mm.
a lot of kids to entertain. So like I just came up with like ad lib. I come up with like ad lib exercises. I'll use like a rock as my weight, or the beach as my gym, or whatever. I've always loved that primal functional fitness outside. So got very creative with games and stuff. And an American football fronted as also a rugby ball. Cones and bibs were sometimes goalposts, sometimes markers, sometimes hide and seek flags. And we had a great time. I stayed in Camp Top of the Pines until they had, I think, 3 shorter trips. That finished. I was there for about 2.5 months, and then I went to New York State, which was where Vacamus was, the parent camp, let's say, which was much bigger, much bigger. And then there, I just worked as a general counselor because they already had all they needed, and met people from all around the world, which just opened up my mind, and it really allowed the soul I'd contained for 20 years in Swansea, Wales, and felt like, why can't I just fit in? Why can't I find people who just want to talk about anything and everything. Where's the wishing for more? Where's the like creativity? Let's say I just spread across so many people from so many different realms of the world, and that is what led me to my further 10 years of like wandering and writing and whatnot. And it was in Camp America that I started writing my first real true short story on a bus back from New York on my day off, one day off every 21 days. Went into New York with my Scottish homie Sandy. We saw Megan Fox in Times Square filming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She was reporting here, and we were like, yo, it's fucking Megan Fox, dude. So and we saw Will Arnett too. That was cool. And on my way back, I was like, let's start this writing shit. And I haven't stopped since.
Incredible. So what started the writing, do you reckon?
Pure imagination. As a kid, parents' evenings and all this, it was always like, Aaron's got such an imagination. Like I said, she with my figurines, like it was on, dude, storyline after storyline after saga. My wrestling figures, we had all the stories. But I was just never encouraged to really write or create. My family's very pragmatic, very utilitarian. Creativity doesn't exist in my family as such in any realm. No one's been to university in my family. I was the first to go to university, first to kind of leave Wales. And it just wasn't inspired. So there was often a more of a practical sense of go to work, do work rather than try your hand at creating. Because I used to love... in GCSE in secondary school, I studied performing arts, loved it. So that's the first place I started writing. I wrote the script. It was some Hercules dance piece, and because I love Greek mythology, this is all Greek mythology. There's Kratos.
Oh.
If for any geeks, I had Kratos on my armor 20. So I'm about slaying gods.
You're
so
about that life.
I'm about that life, son. Yeah, I will scale Mount Olympus. So yeah, that was the first time I ever wrote and studying performing arts. I wrote the script, and then I did acting. I was like the main character and did dancing. And I really thought I found my groove, and I found like, whoa, I can do this stuff, you know? And I actually had an A star in performing arts. It was the only A star I had. I had
Sorry, A star? What's that?
A star, like, you know, ABC as a kind of marker for like C being average, B being good, A being
Like a grade. Okay. So
great.
it's like an A plus, but instead of plus, it's
Yes.
star. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
because we
Makes
like that.
sense.
Um,
Yeah, well, your education system fucking. I've tried so many times to
hilarious.
understand it. I
There's
can't. I
not much
can't.
to
No, just
understand,
like
dude. It's just basically gaslighting and a historical inaccuracy to
historical
like,
whitewashing. Yeah, a
yeah, and like
little
we
bit.
did this in World War II, but we didn't do this in the 19th century. You
Yeah,
learn about
no,
V-Day, you don't learn about India. Do you know?
yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, Churchill has a very specific angle, very specific perspective.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, so you had you had started embracing this creative aspect
Yes, as 16.
when at
14,
16, and this was
15. And 16 was when I did the performance and did multiple performances for the school and for the marker who was coming in. And I was like, wow, this is it. But yeah, I wanted to go to college then to study performing arts. And basically, my very utilitarian mum was like, that is not an option. You are not going to study performing arts. And that was that. I was very much under heel. So that's when I was like really pursuing something else I wanted to do, which was the youth work, which led me down a path which also was very successful. But I parked all creativity, I would say, for about 5-6 years until Camp America, when I felt more like myself. And I felt like, whoa, I can just myself away from every fucking person I've ever known. This is Aaron. And then I was like, oh, I'm writing now. And then that's what opened the door, I would say, to I'm 34 now. And yeah, I've been putting stuff out there since 2013, but no one knows, no one's read me, dudes. Like no one knows, but I've been going at it. So 2013, I started writing film reviews on a personal blog. Remember those? Remember the
I remember them.
innocent personal fucking blogs?
Blogspot? Was it a blogspot? Or was
It
it
was a
Tumblr? Or what was it?
WordPress. It was a
It was a
WordPress.
WordPress. Wow.
What
Fucking
now I look back, I thought it was so complicated, and now obviously we've become hyper normalized to many things, which we could discuss, but tech being one of them. And I was like, dude, it's so simplistic and like Tetris blocky, do you know?
yeah.
Whereas now it's all about the presentation and
It's very
fancy
prettied up, very
widgets
gussied up.
and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
But
But
also you have things that can just whip together a website, no problem.
yeah.
It's not a big deal.
And I thought it had a
But
cool name, dude. It was called Captain's Blog. Captain's Blog.
love it.
But
Love
yeah,
it.
I
That's a great
think
URL. I don't know how you managed to get your, well, I guess it's captainsblog.wordpress.com.
yeah, dot WordPress. Yeah.
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 Okay, that makes more sense. So you had this blog that you were doing film reviews. So talk
Yeah.
me through why film reviews in particular. You were a big film guy, eh?
Oh god damn, son. Film has been the art form of my life, I would say. Because I didn't really read. I read in school, and I'm not trying to like build myself up here because I don't think the standards were very high, but I had like the highest reading age in my year consecutively, because like that is what I do. I comprehend. I take something in and then I figure what's going on. So reading was amazing to me, but I only really read in school as a child, whereas I was watching the Terminator at 5 years old, 6 years old, and Alien and whatnot. So with my uncle Paul, who used to have two VHSs, and we used to go to Spa, which had a Blockbuster inside. We rent a VHS on a Saturday night. He puts it in, he puts his VHS recorder on, records it onto a blank tape,
Hell
has a
yeah, dude.
numbered system of like 001 is Star Trek the motion picture, and then here we go. So I was always surrounded by hundreds of VHSs, and I had an uncle who his love of his life was film. So he babysat me a lot, and film was my school, my school of understanding the world, the school of being the kind of feeling like the outsider weirdo, and then being like I connect with Sarah Connor. Do you know? Like,
Yeah.
how the hell? And then just seeing that Americana influence, of, yeah, the 90s, catching up on the 80s movies and watching the 90s movies kind of live, let's say, was a pretty good education, dude.
It was. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I came from that same era of like my parents thought I was you again, we temper this with like I'm saying this not to big myself up. I'm just saying it to like sort of show like there's a little bit of
Contextualized.
something. Yeah, but my parents were like, "Oh, this kid's brilliant. He can look at." I couldn't read, but I could
Right.
tell you like which VHS was corresponded to which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode I
Yo,
wanted. Just the
okay,
way that they wrote it, so I memorized what the writing looked like
I
on the
see.
specific one. It said the same thing, but I just knew that there was like a slight in angle or something on one of the
So
T's
like
and one of. So I just
kind of
kind of
the
like knew right away. I
calligraphy.
was like, so
You
yeah, yeah, like
you're the guy who could have assessed like the zodiac letters and been like, is this at
at
5?
one point, if it meant I got to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But
I will catch this
or
one.
or Thundercats, it's like yeah. If that was on the other side of it, then yeah. But
Okay.
Catching a Killer, probably not. I would have been like, nah, no. So but also so film
Mhm,
writing was an outlet, not an input. It was
mhm.
film that was an input. But
Yeah,
also video games were a big part of that as well. You mentioned like part of the youth services that you received was
yeah,
getting you off the streets and into playing games. Is that right?
yeah, it was. So with my Uncle Paul, it was films, and he also has thousands of comics which he'd collected since he was a child. So I reading comics was very standard to me. I wasn't really reading books other than in school, but perhaps that helped the whole reading age thing. And so comics and films from my Uncle Paul, and also video games, because he had the grey brick Game Boy, and I played Super Mario and was like, what the oh my god. And then he had a SNES, and on the SNES, do you remember Terminator versus RoboCop, dude? That was the Avengers of my childhood. Do you know what I mean? It was like, what are you saying?
I
So
don't even that you just unlocked a memory, a very much hidden
like,
memory.
yeah.
Oh my Lord. Oh my God.
So Yeah, video games are a huge part, and also another part of my fam. You know, other than my Uncle Paul really taking in the kind of geeky stuff, because he's a self-proclaimed geek, and so am I. There wasn't really kind of much culture around me on the TV. It was just the standard stuff that was on the TV. There was no music in my house, dog. There was no music ever really. So film scores were my first kind of like, oh wow, the soundscape, what this feels like, atmosphere. That's what I came to love. I think I imbue that in my writing, my creative writing more so, because atmosphere soaked in from like not really listening to a lot of music other than like the radio, and then being like, oh, film scores, you know, the sound, like
Mhm.
these things just bled into me, and I took a kind of sonic appreciation for film scores, and I still use film and video game scores now. I could have a 5-hour writing session and go through a few bloody lovely film scores or video game
It's
scores.
so
That
funny
was my
that you
music.
mentioned that. Because even with the amount of music that I grew up with in my world, I
Right.
still will occasionally turn to like Elden Ring soundtrack. I'll throw that
Dude, I
on every
have
day.
not played Elden Ring. I've been in such a funk the last few years with bullshit, and you
It's
know,
okay.
I'm a mad Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro fan, mad, but I didn't get to Elden Ring yet.
I'm not going to say a thing because everyone always goes, "You have to." I'm not going to say a thing because I have no. I haven't touched my. I have an it's there, it's ready.
Yeah,
Haven't touched it in years at this point. Why? Because I've been
you're a
it
father.
comes to writing. Well,
Yeah,
that that
and
whole thing as well. Being a father of two kids with special needs is it's a thing. And I never thought, you know, that's you don't anticipate this shit. So like
of course.
but more importantly, like the way that you talk about sound, just getting
Hmm.
back to that right now, is
Okay.
so interesting because it's so like it is an accompaniment, yes, but
Mm.
there's such a strength and power to it that appreciating music for itself is a very, in my mind at least, a pretty separate thing than how music is used when it is part of the package.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that that's an important. I mean, think of how many like some of the best-selling albums musically of all time have been soundtracks. Like, for example, did you know that The Bodyguard
yeah,
by Whitney Houston
yeah.
is like one of the best-selling albums of all time
Well, I
because
don't doubt it,
I
but I
mean,
didn't know it.
fucking bangers, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just absolute crushing. Yeah, dude. Or oh man, anyway, so I could get into a whole but let's go back to the main narrative here, okay? Like I'm trying to
Okay,
keep us
I don't think
organized.
there is one to
It's
my
such
life.
an
I don't think there is one.
no, I know, but this is it. Is I'm trying to keep it so that it's somewhat chronological and sequential, which for you and me,
Eh,
that's
We viewers, we need this stuff. ADHD both,
yes.
and also very
It's
explorative, imaginative minds that fling to memories like RoboCop versus Terminator and go like, okay, we're here now.
yeah, exactly. And now I'm like, I've already made a note for myself, like, okay, RoboCop versus Terminator. I want to see if there were any comics of it, and apparently there are. So anyway,
Yo,
uh,
okay.
yeah, I know. So,
Yo.
so
Okay,
you,
we need a sidebar. We need a sidebar podcast just for the geek shit. Just
well,
just
no, I'm putting it all out. It's all happening here. We're just
okay.
gonna eventually create a sub, like there'll be certain episodes that'll be like, okay, this one's the RoboCop episode.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
one's the Schwarzenegger episode.
Oh,
Um,
dude.
okay, so 2013, you start a blog. How
Yeah.
old are you at that point?
20, yeah, still 21. I was
Okay,
21 in May 2013, and I left the 1st of June 2013 for camp. So I was like of legal drinking age, which was nice, but some of my homies I made there weren't. But I'm not a big drinker, never have been. I
okay,
became a big smoker, but that's later on in the timeline.
right.
Uh But yeah, I was still 21, writing this blog of films, and just you know, as any writer does, feeling myself out. And I started writing ideas down. Then I started writing observations down, because I'm very self-aware, but I'm also very aware of the world around me, sensory wise, you know,
Mhm.
always have been. So hearing conversations, and I just started to create little stories for myself, which no one's ever seen. I was like, I can be still that pragmatism was imbued inside of like, if I write film reviews, that can lead to a job which will pay me eventually. Fucking
Mm.
13 years later, nah. But that was the aim. And I was just writing stuff for myself, little stories and whatnot to see if I could. And I could. And I enjoyed it. And I would say I started reading books. I started having at least 1 to 3 books on the go from around about the age of 18, 19. That's when I started really picking up books and just ingesting literature across many realms, high and low, far and wide, ancient and modern. And I've always had at least, I'd say, 2 books going since.
Yeah.
So I've read a lot of books, dude. I think for me, life experience and reading experience is what can combine into giving a voluble voice to a writer, in which many might say, I don't know what to write about. How do you start the blank page? Da, 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 da. I've never struggled with that, dude. I've just always been a light. My brain is gasoline and a light. And I think because I take in real life and I take in like many fantastical lives, it just keeps the thing churning.
That is that's such a great point that you raise because for writers or even aspiring writers, especially actually, you can't. I used to get told like quite a lot, like you can't be a fiction writer and not read fiction. And I used to like scoff at that. I read a lot of nonfiction as a result of being in university, and
Right.
I also read a lot of fiction being in university. English was my minor, so
Mm.
history being my major. So
Okay. Okay.
super useful degrees.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
it's
humanities paid
fine.
off,
It's
dude, right?
yeah.
It's
Well,
it's
it's funny
fine.
because you keep playing you keep playing in your lane, and eventually the rest of the world will match up with you. But
I'm kind of
uh,
right now hoping with the V13 stuff, that which we'll probably get onto later. That's me
yeah,
believing that all of this staying in the lane is actually the building it, and they will come.
yeah, and that's it. Is like, and also it's its own reward, and I think that that's the biggest thing as a writer is. So the first point I was going to make was that
Mm.
with writing, it comes down to you need to read
Yeah.
primarily, and people don't, I think, understand that, or they hear it and they don't really process that. And it's like for the longest time, I wouldn't read fiction, which is such a except for graphic novels.
Oh, I mean, there's
We've
another one.
already we've already
Yeah,
connected on this, but
we have.
without derailing too hard, like you and I are very similar in that we've always had a book or two on the go.
Mm.
And I think that now that I've really let myself like go back into fiction for
Mhm.
its own like because I was caught in this loop of, oh well, I can't read unless it's going to improve me. And it's
Ah,
like, yeah,
yes,
it's a
yeah,
trap. It's a
it is a
very
trap.
and I think that the problem is that people think that you reading like some sort of like you know 8 out of 10 mass paperback is somehow less useful than like a self-help book
Mm.
or a nonfiction book even. And
Right.
there's people that are my mom's very much about that. No shade to my mom. She wants
Mm.
to better herself, and that's through
Yeah,
reading, which is fine. I get that. But I got caught in that trap. And as a writer, as a creative, that is not something that you can let yourself fall victim to. And I think that
yeah.
there's some people out there, and I think that you might be one of them, is that there's something sad about not knowing the immensity of how much you will never know or read or consume. Like every day, I mean, it's a sobering reality that the majority of art, music, writing, expression, you will never ever even hear about. Um,
I would say the
you can
majority of those things are unpublished, and look how much our book lists grow
published, yeah.
every day with what is published.
You actually raise a really good point. Actually, that's a step deeper because when the MySpace blip occurred, like an
Hmm.
entire generation of kids' music just went gone,
Yeah,
which is fucked.
yeah.
I had friends that had built their entire like early. like their high school and then early 20s careers of music on MySpace. And then when MySpace went tits up, it's like that music doesn't exist anymore for lots of
Yeah.
people. It's
Yeah.
lost media, which to us is unfathomable. Being from a certain era now where it's like, what do you mean I can't access it? What, it's not on this platform? Why would it be on that platform? Like why are you making it hard? And it's like, let me
But
tell you something.
me and you, our generation as such, do have a metering of appreciating that that was a long step from the kind of,
Yep.
from tapes to CDs to those kind of tampon MP3s. Do you remember? And you'd have to,
Yes, I
I
do.
we can
There were
appreciate
mini
that
discs. There were laser discs.
laser
Fucking
discs.
remember laser discs, bro? I was huge into laser discs for a little
Uh,
bit.
I loved
Yeah.
I loved my Walkman, dude. My little
Oh yeah. CDs.
CD Walkman, Sony CD
Yeah,
Walkman.
that CD binder. Everybody had like a massive tome, or
Yes,
just even
and
like a little one. It was like you got the travel size, which is only 20 or so, and you got the big like collection that you put if you wanted to not have a CD. Anyway,
no, but what I'm saying is we appreciate the now of accessibility instantaneously, but we were meted with a kind of appreciation for the growth of that. Whereas I do feel like Gen Z, the whole generation below, are spoiled brats in a lot of ways when it comes to content and culture for just going, meh,
I will defend Gen Z to the death
okay.
because I am a big, yeah. So, I always think first of all, the thing that I always remember whenever I think of like the next generation,
Hmm,
not the show, the next generation is that this is a conversation that's been happening
yeah,
um, ever since writing became a thing instead of the oral tradition. I mean, this is
yeah,
literally like it's something where even the Greeks were like, look at these lazy people with writing things down. I mean, it's
yeah,
pathetic. It's they're destroying their memory. They're
yeah,
destroying their memory. They can't recite all of the Iliad. It's pathetic. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
oh, okay. I guess oral traditions used to be a lot more
Oral.
comprehensive or robust. Yeah, oral.
Yeah,
And this is it.
yeah,
This is like the thing that I remember. Other thing that I'll say about Gen Z is they are the ones that are actually starting to move the needle on physical media. It's
right.
very underground. You have to look for it. But
Okay.
there are Gen Z like kids. They're adults for
Yeah.
fuck's sake. But anyway, Gen Z is like super this is why the 90s have had this huge revival of like 90s
Yeah.
fashion, 90s media, 90s clothing. So part of that is like these really cool, unusual CD players.
Mm,
There's like a resurgence of relying on tapes and CDs,
yeah.
uh, and also DVDs. Like I know I have many friends who I have one friend who has like a Criterion collection. I
Yo.
don't. I know he's like very like Josh Elliott. He is like I whenever somebody gets him for Secret Santa, it's like I know what I'm getting you, motherfucker. What do you
Okay,
got?
I
What do you
gotta get
not got on
deep
your
into
wall here?
eBay. Gotta
Yeah,
find that limited edition copy.
exactly. So, but this is it, is like I agree with you wholeheartedly though, that we saw the development of it. So that means
Yeah.
we know what the benefit is. This is why you go camping.
Mm,
I promise there's a
yeah.
point here.
No,
When you
I
go
see what you're
camping,
saying.
you come back from it going, fuck, hot water is incredible. Hot
Yeah.
water is so amazing. We have indoor plumbing that gives you hot water. We are living like fucking kings and queens.
Yes.
In fact, better than kings and queens for most of
Yeah.
history. Like
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so um I guess yeah, so now trying to return to the original point. Holy shit.
Done a lot of backtracking, but
um
I feel you when I see you. You need the deprivation to have the appreciation.
that you need friction. You need
Hmm.
friction. And that's
Hmm.
what builds it is that if there's too little friction, then the appreciation for something doesn't really have like I do think that when I say that people hear, oh, well, if you coddle people, like they'll get soft and then shitty. And I'm
Hmm.
like, it's not quite that simple.
It's not quite
It's
that
obviously
simple.
very,
It's
it's not quite like that. Like people try to use the whole thing. Like lately I've been hearing a little bit more like, oh, soft times create soft people. And I'm like, that's not true. And also these aren't soft times, but anyway, like,
Yeah. The
so
the
this is
the
it is like,
the convenient times, convenience reigns,
it
convenience
is
reigns,
true.
the comfort.
But also there's convenience and uh fulfillment.
Yeah.
Those are not the same thing. Just because something's
No.
convenient doesn't mean that you are fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I
Actually,
have.
the inverse, I would say, from my socio-political standpoint, the Man Who Told the World stuff, like very much the inverse.
So you mentioned Man Who Told the World. That's the main thread I'm trying to get to is like, so your
Oh,
writing journey. This is what I wanted to get through for this particular episode. I know that we've got many ahead of us.
okay.
But
Yes, so.
I, for me, I want to know like the journey of you going from Street Fighter to Word
Mm,
Fighter. And so
right.
I want, you like that? I came up with it on the spot. I didn't
No, of
have that in the can.
course I like it.
um, I wanted to go off on a Street Fighter onomatopoeia, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm
Okay.
going to ask the original question, which
Okay.
was, so you've got the blog, it's 2013, you're 21, but
Yeah.
then over time,
Hmm.
how does it all tie in with you eventually like going abroad, exploring the
Yeah.
world, and you writing other stuff?
Okay. Okay. We can do this more straightforward. Um, so I was back in Wales, writing my film reviews. Went back to Dylan Thomas School as a teaching assistant, which didn't feel good after having like kind of gone up the ranks of youth work. I got back, needed a job, took a step back. Then I found a job in a train station as a revenue protection agent. So
Oh,
basically, the ticket
that's a rough
collector.
gig.
Yeah, dog.
Fuck.
It's
That's a rough fucking gig. In Swansea? Fuck off,
Swansea,
mate.
man, in Swansea City
Oh my
Station, and on the
God.
high street, which is like, there's a documentary on Vice called Swansea Love Story, which is about the heroin epidemic of Swansea. There's a lot of drugs and miscreants in Swansea,
Well,
and
yeah.
a lot of them try
Yeah.
to catch the fucking train. So that was a rough gig. But it paid well. And whilst I was in that job for, I think, nearly 2 years, that's when I was saving hard as hell.
2 years you did that job.
Yeah, dude. And I did actually, it was one of the first, it was one of the first times in which oh, fuck, man, there's so many journeys, but it was it was one of I actually went off work on stress in 2015 because of that job. And I had no
Yeah, no shit.
idea. I had no idea at that point that anxiety, depression, trauma. I was then diagnosed with ADHD and borderline personality disorder later on, but this was the first trigger of me being like, I can't handle this fucking society. I can't be and express me and have to just eat the shit of just society and dumb motherfuckers who feed into it. I was very, very cynical, but what was getting me through at that time was I'm going traveling. So basically,
Ah, there it is.
yeah, so when I went to Camp America, that's when I stopped fighting as well, because I was fighting competitively from 5 to 21. So in kung fu initially, because I was learning kung fu, and then that translated into kickboxing, and then like full contact K1 kickboxing. And I was national champion, and I fought for Wales against England in this kind of Wales v England thing, and that was pretty badass too. I've got a very diverse history because I keep on pursuing shit, and this is it's a lot.
I'm having to like write down so many like side bits that I have to come back to later, but like let's keep going. So you started traveling where and when?
Okay, so I started traveling I went to Thailand in 2014 for 3 weeks of like island hopping. And that was phenomenal. And as soon as I came back, on my next pay, I put a deposit on going traveling indefinitely in October 2015. So I had to work another year, just eating shit, just earning my money, saving it, doing nothing, just putting as much money as I possibly could away to go traveling. 2015, I was with one of my exes. We were on our merry way from Swansea to South Africa. That's the beginning of our indefinite travels. So Camp America opened my mind and my soul. Thailand was like, holy shit, dude, I need to see more. I need to experience more. That's going to give me so much more in terms of being a writer. It's also going to help me understand who I am. And like, spoiler, I'm still figuring that out right now, this day. So that's a whole process still.
You and me both.
And just to say, I wanted to say something earlier about you talking about the self-help books, which is like, they are, it's a black hole. It's never ending, the self-help. I'm reading to better myself. I think until you can actually go, I will help myself now. I've read enough self-help. I want to help myself in what I've read rather than just, and I've been trapped in this cycle of, I need more. Oh my God, maybe this was the thing that will help me. Maybe this is the thing. And I was very much searching for that in life, I would say, 2013, 14, 15.
I still
So
am, to be honest with you. I still
yeah,
do it.
and
I
I,
still do it. I still think about like systems and processes and
hmm,
AI assistants and all this other shit, but it's all just, you're right. It is window dressing for a thing that is an internal commitment.
yeah,
And if you don't have that internal commitment, then what are we even talking about here? Like,
exactly. And yeah, I love a quote by Miyamoto Musashi is one of my favorite men who ever lived, as a warrior monk, and I see myself as a modern day warrior monk in some ways. He wrote the book on it, literally, in the Book of Five Rings in Tokodo. And one quote he has is that which I think is very pertinent to our age right now, is I am going to skewer this, it's not verbatim, but there is nothing outside of yourself that will help you become stronger, smarter, more disciplined, more free. It is about that internal journey and battle, you know? So for all we take in, and we're in a culture now of input, 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 it's still finding the right piece of input which can allow you to then go, let me try again. And I think that's where I am, excuse me, in my life right now. So in 2015, oh, go on, sorry.
no, no, I was just about to ask the question, which just you were about to
Sorry.
answer, which is just basically like from there, you've gone to Thailand and,
So I started in South Africa for the 2015
right.
travel. So a month in South Africa, 4 months in Southeast Asia, sure they're everywhere. A year in Australia, and a week in Japan before I came back.
Now, something big happened in Australia. You wrote something in Australia.
Yes. So,
Tell us about it.
okay, man. So, I started a new blog to go traveling, The Wandering Wanderer, WordPress again. That was me, just thoughts, feelings, processes, some poetry. That was really me going, what can I do? You know? And that followed me around. I actually started writing for a site called Adventure in You, doing a few like travel reviews, let's say, of like experiences. And then once I got to Australia, having had a crazy kind of 6 months of just life every day, having just read Don Quixote for the first time, which I often quote as my favorite novel. Um, and just kind of caught up on like, I'm just living that Don Quixote lifestyle now. I am that, like, I'm this romantic knight who's trying to hold up chivalry in the modern day by going my own way and trying to be my own superhero, because I see Don Quixote as the first superhero story, to be quite honest. Other than mythology, I would say novel, written, self-aware, which is still crazy how self-aware that book is. He was the
Oh,
first superhero, saw himself as a superhero, I believe. So that very much fed
interesting.
into me a lot. So I got to Australia, was me and my ex-partner, we bought a camper van, this beautiful 1989 Toyota Hiace, 350,000 Ks on the clock. Let's go. Um, I'd kind of run out of money by then. I knew that I was volunteering in South Africa in a game reserve. Southeast Asia was let's fucking go. Let's just go around. And then Australia was always going to be working on farms for money. So it was getting a camper van, touring around, ringing the national hotline, which seems antiquated right now. But in 2015, it was like ring the national hotline for farm work for foreigners. And they could be like, there's this farming, you go there, there's a job. And then just let's go. And I picked many different things, dude. Tomatoes, cucumbers, lemons. Where was the first place? Chilies. Pumpkin. No, not pumpkin. What's the other kind of squash?
Squash? Oh,
Yeah, maybe it was just squash. I can't
might be just
remember.
squash, yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of that. So I was just having experience. Living inside a camper van was amazing. That was my first and last home I'll ever be able to afford, probably. So That was cool.
Welcome to the modern era. You'll
Yeah,
own nothing
yeah,
and you'll be happy. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the skewering of modern day society
yeah, I'm
eventually,
sure
but
we will, brother. But whilst in the camper van, I was writing my travel journal, I was writing my blog, and then I was really starting to formulate. I was really starting to formulate a new novel. I had started a different novel called A Toy and His Boy, which was about children androids, which is very particular right now after Alien Earth. If you've seen Alien Earth, which was
I haven't. I'm so saucy.
real fucking good. Noah Hawley,
Yeah.
praise you.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Yeah. Do it.
but
All right.
I was writing my first project I thought, which was very fitting because I'm a sci-fi geek, that like A Toy and His Boy was this cyberpunk dream. I'd read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Blade Runner is like one of my favorite movies,
Mhm.
so on and so forth. But then in the traveling, I was like, nah, that's too big, because I was creating fucking religions, gangs, all of this. And that Toy and His Boy is still, it's never been complete. It's been worked on different periods. But I went on to go, I want to use the writing as a basis for this. And I was just reading On the Road. I was reading Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So I was just like, the road trip aspect was like, I can capture something here. So I started writing a novel in my camper van on beach benches after a surf. And I didn't know, it was initially going to be called Worked to Death, which I wanted to combine basically, um, let's say, on the road style transient journeys of the spirit and the finding oneself, into the wild, that kind of relinquishing society for like living it your own way. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for the having like bongs made out of mayonnaise bottles. And then combining that with like the more thriller pulpy aspect, which is very much informs me also. So I was reading like Thomas Harris novels at that time, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and I wanted to kind of combine these kind of things. And so my last 3 months in Australia, I had quit the farms because there was a lot of bullshit and bureaucracy and meanness, which features in the novel. I settled in Byron Bay for 3 months. Was living in like this little shed thing on a farm where I worked 1 day a week, and I got to live there for the rest. It's called woofing. Um, that's where I really started writing my novel. I had a friend who was a landscaper, so I started doing landscaping jobs with him, and then became like, for 3 months, just my own little landscaper, just driving around and pulling weeds and fucking cutting fences and fixing roofs and stuff like this. Just doing whatever I could basically to earn some cash, whilst any time I had was either be writing in like the garden or go into Byron Bay Library. And big shout out to Byron Bay Library. I wrote the most of what was Worked to Death, which has now become my first novel, The Lost and Found, in Byron Bay Library, on days off and times off. And I would say, other than getting a black belt, finishing that first draft of that first novel, which pertained to this last 18 months of crazy lived life, was fierce, dude. I just felt like I had like just a fire inside me, which I was outputting, but then it was like, it's now its own bonfire. What the hell? It's external now. So that was
Yeah.
beautiful. Um, and yeah,
What did it
that's
end
how
up
I
being
wrote.
called?
So it's
That's
called
how
The
you
Lost
wrote
and Found.
The Lost and Found.
Yeah.
The Lost and Found is the one that is now available and has been, and you were self-published on that one, yes?
I self-published that in 2020 during the soft apocalypse because I had time off work and university. So that's when I had been editing it every year. Basically, I came back from traveling in 2017, February. Was going to go to uni to get my degree. I wanted to go to uni as a mature student, get a degree in writing so I could go back to Australia and live in Australia, because that was my happy place in
Yeah.
1,000 different ways. And so I was going to North Wales to study in Bangor University. That wasn't until September, so I got a job in Zip World, which is like a zip lining. Have you seen the zip lining episode of South Park?
South
Check
Park,
of the
yeah,
park.
that's exactly that.
That's what I was living, dog. That's what I was living. Uh, as an enthusiastic adventure instructor. But it was a great job, dude. It was a great job. You know,
Dude,
I've done a lot of different jobs, retail assistant, like call center, all of this, many different
you've
jobs. And
had to make you've had to make do, and that was one of the better ones.
that was a cool, I was like up a mountain sending people down a 1 mile long zip wire, the fastest in the world. You know, it was pretty dope. So I was doing that until uni started in September. Then I continued doing that and was in uni. And I really wanted to give my best in uni, and kind of anything I do, I want to give my all and I want to put a lot into it, you know? So I was reading all the books, doing all the assignments, attending every class and working at the same time and doing a lot of my own personal writing. Every summer, I would drop off uni. I'd still have work, but then I'd be working on the lost and found. So I'd be doing second draft in summer 2017, third draft summer 2018, fourth draft summer 2019. 2020 was when I was like, let's fucking finish this thing, you know. That's just, I am a bit of a perfectionist, so I think maybe the drafts were a bit much in some ways, that I was just like, this is not ready. I don't know if this is a book yet. I don't know. And it was a book.
Hmm. And what I love about that story, though, is that you didn't just write a draft and then edit it once or twice and that's it. You returned to it and edited, knowing that you can make it like what you intend, the
Hmm.
quality of it. I think that's another trait that is missing from a lot of folks these days. But
Yeah.
um,
First thought,
I
best
think
thought.
that that's yeah, and that's just an amazing place to actually cap off the episode because
Okay.
with the release of that book, that kind of sets up perfectly like the next time that we get together because we got lots more to talk about. We'll get
Yeah.
back to all sorts.
Yeah.
But
That was the
the
start of
lost
the
and
insight
found
again.
exactly, and then so with that came all of the subsequent. I think insanity is a fair word to say to use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believed I went insane at one point and was literally crying and screaming. That, so I would say insanity ensued. It's been an intense 10 years from
yeah.
2015 to
It's
2025.
I'd say even for you, given what we've chatted about, like even just the past year has been
Yeah,
just grueling and brutal, at times miserable, but mate, you just keep on showing up, don't you? And I love
that's,
that. That's the thing is as a creative, if you can do that, I mean,
yeah,
as a human as well,
yeah,
but as a
yeah,
creative, if you can just keep, if you can take that Captain America thing of, I can do this all day, like that attitude of,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go on, give it, I don't care, I'll do it.
Keep it fucking coming,
That's
man.
the thing that
Yeah.
matters the most.
And yeah, that's again, Musashi, no one thing to know 10,000 things. I believe martial arts is my one thing in which imbues me across everything else I want and try to do, from skateboarding to writing, let's say. Do you know that discipline, that understanding of, can I keep going? Yes, I can. Okay, the gum shield's bloody, let's keep going, you know, the knuckles hurt, let's keep
Mm.
going. The horse stance sucks, let's keep hold of it, you know. And yeah, the kung fu and martial arts as a concept are my one thing to know 10,000 things in this world. And so I've kept that discipline. You know, you don't learn a kata from doing it once. Do you know what I mean? That is just repetition, repetition, repetition. And the same for like
Muscle
any,
memory.
yeah, muscle memory. And then I think that's also locked into the mental creative aspect, let's say, of, I just got to keep on writing even though I know no one's reading, until V13.
I
So,
mean, it's interesting that your journey with V13 already, you've already looped in once. You've already
hmm,
intersected once,
yeah,
and then there's the inverse of that. But then, of course, it comes back together. There's these vertices where paths meet. This time around, you and I have, because you and I were operating in parallel circles.
yeah,
So now that we've met, there's a lot more. There's, I think, a kindred understanding and
yeah.
and sight of
And I
the type
thank
of
you for that.
shared.
I thank you for that.
Yeah,
I've
likewise,
needed that
likewise.
at
Honestly,
this
that's why we're
stage in my
doing
life.
this.
And you gave me a kindred understanding and a kindred spirit and a camaraderie, which I absolutely have needed, wanted, and desired from this kind of self-exiled, excommunicated from everything lifestyle I've been living the last few years. So I am
Same, mate.
truly
Honestly,
grateful to you, man. I am truly grateful to you and
likewise.
who you are.
I really mean it. Likewise, and it's not said lightly. I mean, most people listening to this are going to be like, "Oh, okay, you guys know each other. What, why? And it's like, you guys like RoboCop? What's the kindred? I think we'll get more into what we see and understand later on. But as time
Yeah,
goes on, I want to just like, this is going to be more of this is more of the background episode
yeah,
for you. Yeah. Then we can like actually have like some of the larger talks, if you will.
yeah. I
Um,
think if you're asking my history, I have to say it and get it out because it is multitudinal in terms, and I didn't necessarily mean it to be that way, but there's just been
mate,
winding
you
path.
ask me about anything, it's gonna branch off, and no
Yeah,
one person can. I mean, if you have that, great, but you and I don't have that, so
nah, and we've lived in different places, and that always breeds, you know, a different version of yourself, a different version of understanding the world, a different version of seeing the world, and so
yeah,
that's definitely, I think, one of our connection points, but also one of the talking points of, you know, who we are in this world as men who are continually trying to figure out what we mean to ourselves and others, including our families.
exactly. So in signing off, I want to direct any listeners to if you want to get a copy of the Lost and Found, um, that can be purchased on Amazon. Is it available in paperback as well?
Yeah, paperback and Kindle, but I
Yep.
don't think anyone's bought it for a couple of years now because I've been off
That's okay.
every
That's
been off
okay.
everywhere.
Don't worry about it. Uh, um, and if is it anybody wants to follow you on socials, they can't. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I am the analog man in the digital world. I do have an Instagram. I just haven't been on it for about 3 years. I was dipping in and out. That was the old traveling Instagram, so that does have old photos from like 2015. But when I lived in Barcelona, I kind of went back on it again for Bukowskian ways, let's say, in a modern way. And uh, yeah, I've been off social media on and off since it started, basically. But I've been off for about 3 years now. And I like it. I
Yeah,
like I
you're
like every time
probably
you read books, man.
healthier.
You know, if
Thank you. That's precisely it. I've traded all of my time on socials for reading, and I've been crushing. Oh,
it's feeding into you, it's not taking from you. You know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, there's something about that. And yeah, when it comes to other forms of your writing, like I don't know that those WordPresses are still up, are they?
Yeah, they are, man. Because I am like a digital mess too. Like I've forgotten passwords for shit, and like there's there's a lot of Aaron Farrell stuff around. There's I need a new website, which I'm going to speak to you about because I did have an author website which I've taken down to reorganize, but I'm pretty shit, dude. Like I can spell like boobs on a calculator, and that's like my tech skills. You know, like
That's all you need,
I'm not
actually.
equipped for
So
this.
turns out
Even Word, you know, like even Word, I'm like still figuring Word out after using it for 20 years. You know, like, it's still
that's
shit. Like
fine. You
I
don't
can
need to.
underline what? So I'm not tech savvy, but
Um,
yeah, there is Captain's blog is out there somewhere. I'm sure if you Google search it, the Wandering Wanderer is out there, and I have grown as a writer. These are very full of young man energy, you know.
yeah, I'd say that there's
And
the more recent stuff is on V13 actually.
yes,
Is
it
that right?
is.
Is that fair to
That's
say?
that's right. So yeah, in 2020, I started writing for V13 after speaking to Captain O'Captain in Christopher Gonda, and
Yep.
was like, "Holy shit! Someone actually likes the voice I have," which I would say is cultivated into violent expression. I call my kind of it's Hunter S. Thompson gonzo journalism for the new age and through a Welsh mouth. That's it.
And
So
it's an amazing series, and it is certainly someone who is it's the voice of someone who was going through the most insane of times with with an unabashed sense of um yeah. network levels of like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, like you were
You
saying the other day.
fucking got it, dude. That's
Yeah,
pretty much Aaron Farrell, which yeah, that's it. But yeah, I have film reviews on different websites too. But when can we
yeah,
say
that's
anything about
true.
what's coming up with V13, just so we can kind of
100%. I think it'd be great to mention to people just in signing off, like,
okay,
what's the one thing you would say in terms of like, I know that we've said where there are going to be further episodes, you and me, but in terms of what's happening with V13, there is a book that you have written that is currently being developed, shall we
yeah,
say,
yeah,
and it is called,
The Man Who Told the World. So a play on Bowie's Man Who Sold the World and Cobain's and Midge Ure's. But this is a series of socio-political essays, I would say, similar to Thompson's Generation of Swine and similar to Bukowski's Notes of a Dirty Old Man. Um, I wrote it in 2022 whilst living in modern day Babylon, hedonism and herpes everywhere in Barcelona. Um, I wrote it's 10 chapters of what the fuck are we doing? I am mad as hell. I'm not going to take this anymore. Of our realm, our world, and just what's going on from someone who has tried to figure out his internal world, has tried to figure out the external world, and has just tried to make some fucking comprehension of it. And I'm at a loss. So, The Man Who Told the World, it had a brief publication, which is gone now. It's not available anywhere. But through V13, we are going to publish that as the first of several books coming from Aaron Farrell and V13 Press, which feels like the life raft from swimming in a fucking typhoon of
yeah,
literary bullshit for 13 years. So V13 is my ship, is my mast, where I will raise a flag alongside V13s and start putting out some books.
yeah. And I think that that's exactly why I have been pushing for press as much as I have with V13 is because it's my life raft as well. It
Yeah,
really is. That was where I was with when I wrote the Trail is where I
right.
had really it's telling that voice and the loss of voice is the central theme in that book because
Mm,
that's that's what it's about. And it's interesting as well that like yours happens to be it's interesting that just the names, like I don't want to get too like esoteric, but like it's
mm,
interesting the synchronicity that the name of your first book was Lost and Found.
yeah,
And this next one, there's the boy who the man who told the world.
yeah.
These are things about psyche, identity, self search, and it's what comes up. I think that for us, we're gonna talk much more about those themes
Yeah,
in the
that
future.
I think from what we've discussed prior to this conversation, I think there's a lot of ground to cover in terms of us on sort of internal, external journeys, but also just trying to figure out what's going on inside the soul and trying to figure out what the energy of the universe is doing to us also, amidst this fucking trash fire of a society.
Thank you so much for joining me today, mate. This
Thank you
is
so much for having
first
me.
of many, and yeah, I don't know. There's no like real sign off here, so it's basically just
Should we
a
do Ripley sign
thanks
off
and
on a Nostromo or
actually, yeah, let's just do that.
nah, let's not. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for asking my history and why basically I've become a man of words after being a man of fists and feet, and
Hmm.
why we're still trying to figure this stuff out. So thank you for having me, and also I am very excited to read the Shirail, which I think there's a copy in the post for me right now, and I'm very very excited to dig into that, man.
Appreciate that. I'm
And
also going to be getting my copy of Lost and Found very shortly, so
okay,
it'll
okay,
be happening. Yeah, it
but
will
yeah,
be.
man. I look forward to what's to come from this friendship, this partnership, and us sailing on the same ship of V13. C'est la vie.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.